Ancient mothers never felt guilty about their parenting. Not once. And they weren't better mothers than you. They just lived in a world that hadn't invented mom guilt yet. In the next few minutes, you're going to understand exactly where that guilt came from, and why you can finally stop carrying it. Think about the last time you felt it. Maybe you let your child watch too much TV. Maybe you lost your patience and raised your voice. Maybe you ordered takeout instead of cooking. Maybe you just sat there, exhausted, while your child played alone, and felt like a failure for it. That feeling. That specific, sharp, exhausting feeling. Where did it come from? Not from your child. Your child wasn't judging you. Not from your body. Your body was just tired. It came from a standard. An invisible standard that follows you everywhere you go. A standard that whispers, a good mother would have done that differently. But here is the question nobody asks. Who set that standard? And when? For 300,000 years, human mothers raised children without that standard existing. Not because they were perfect. They weren't. Not because their children were easy. They weren't either. But because the way they lived made the standard impossible to create. Here is why. In ancient communities, motherhood was never a performance. It was never something one woman did in front of others while being evaluated. It was something all women did together, visibly, imperfectly, every single day. When you raise children surrounded by other mothers who are also struggling, also exhausted, also losing patience sometimes, you cannot develop the belief that a good mother never struggles. Because you see, with your own eyes, every single day, that all mothers struggle. The standard requires isolation to survive. It requires you to see only the polished version of other mothers, never the hard moments, never the failure, never the mess. Ancient mothers never had that isolation. So the standard never formed. Now think about your own life. Where do you see other mothers? On Instagram. Perfectly curated. Smiling. Organized. Patient. On Facebook. Milestone photos. Happy families. Clean houses. At school pickup. Everyone composed. Put together. Fine. You never see the 2 a.m. crying. The lost temper. The frozen dinner. The day they sat on the bathroom floor and didn't know how to keep going. And so your brain, doing exactly what it was built to do, creates a standard based on what it sees. It compares your inside to everyone else's outside. And it finds you lacking. Every single time. But there is something else happening too. Something deeper. Modern parenting culture has created a concept that didn't exist for most of human history. The idea of the primary caregiver. The belief that one person, usually the mother, is solely responsible for the emotional, physical, cognitive, and social development of a child. That she must be present enough but not too present. Stimulating but not overstimulating. Consistent but flexible. Patient always. Available always. Never resentful. Never depleted. This standard was not built from science. It was not built from evolutionary wisdom. It was built from a cultural moment, the mid-20th century, when women moved into isolated suburban homes, away from their communities, and suddenly found themselves alone with their children for the first time in human history. And instead of recognizing that isolation as the problem, the culture responded by raising the standard. As if the solution to doing too much alone was to simply do it better. Here is what the science actually says. No single human being was ever designed to be everything a child needs. Not emotionally. Not cognitively. Not socially. The human child was designed to be raised by a network. Multiple adults. Multiple relationships. Multiple sources of safety, stimulation, and connection. When one person tries to be that entire network alone, she will always fall short. Not because she is failing, but because she is attempting the biologically impossible. The guilt you feel when you fall short is not a signal that you are a bad mother. It is a signal that you are one person trying to do what was designed for many. And here is the part that changes everything. Ancient mothers didn't lose their patience less often than you do. They didn't have more energy. They didn't love their children more deeply. They had permission to be human. When you are surrounded by other mothers who are also struggling, the struggle stops being evidence of failure. It becomes evidence of reality. Nobody kept score. Nobody compared. Nobody expected perfection from one woman doing everything alone. The standard only exists because you are isolated enough to believe you are the only one failing. You are not. Every mother you know is carrying the same guilt. About different things. In different moments. But the same weight. The weight was never yours to carry alone. The next time that voice whispers, a good mother would have done that differently. Ask it a question back. Which mother? The one surrounded by grandmothers, aunts, sisters, and experienced women who shared every moment of this? Or the one doing it completely alone, by a standard that was designed to be impossible? Because those are not the same job. And you were built for the first one. Not the second. Ancient mothers never felt mom guilt. And now you know why. Not because they were better. Because they were never alone enough to believe they were failing.